Hello, this is Pixel, and I've got an auto-battler roguelike for you in the form of Despot's Game. I was recently given the demo for this game, and that's been enough, I think, to weigh in on what I think about the mechanics of this game. But before I give you what I think, let's cover those mechanics. In Despot's Game, you are given a team of puny humans, and those puny humans have to travel from room to room to either escape this maze that you're in or confront the designer of it. These puny humans on their own are just that, very puny. They have very low health, very low attack, very low defense. But if you equip them with one of the many weapons or armors that you find in the stores throughout the game, you can turn them into very powerful classes. And this is where the strategy begins for Despot's Game. As the manager of your team, you need to make sure that every character in your party is staying healthy, but that also your party is well balanced, having fighters and tanks and shooters and mages and healers and all the different classes that you can find in this game in the right combination to see success as you progress through this labyrinth. A secondary piece of the strategy in this game is the positioning of your characters. Now, as you play through, you'll find that some characters lose health, will nearly die. Some characters you may actually want to die, but the ones you want to live, you may want to bring into the back to get healed by your healers for each round. Placing your characters precisely and strategically will have a lot to do with if you're going to make it into the next level of this big maze. There is one catch though, and it's that you not only need to keep the health of your characters up, but you also have to feed them. If they get too hungry, they'll start to lose their attack and their defense capabilities, and you'll need to feed them to restore that. Eventually, if you haven't fed them in a long time, they will refuse to move into the next level, and you'll have to feed them or sacrifice them on the spot in order to proceed. Lucky for you, many of the rooms that you find in the maze will offer you the chance to spend the credits that you earn in each room on food. The food can be banked up and used at your discretion. There are also storerooms that you'll run into where you will have to fight an enemy, but once that enemy in the room is cleared out, you'll be given an option to either recruit more puny humans onto your team, or you can buy weapons and armor to increase the classes of your existing puny humans. That store can also be leveled up to 5 times, where you'll be given more items that are better, and it's a very valuable thing to do. In addition to both the food and the item rooms that you can run into, you can also run into mutator rooms, where you'll be able to get valuable upgrades for your various classes by clearing out a room and then selecting one of the mutators. You also have access to a Mutator'S menu from the get-go in the game, and this allows you to pick some selective mutators that you can invest money into that will make certain classes more powerful. Some of them also will impact all your classes. For instance, there is one where a random item every time you run into the store will cost a certain percentage less. By upgrading it, you increase that percentage and you get at least one cheaper item. Less common among the rooms, you'll find some story-driven rooms where they'll have some quick gags for you, or maybe a few small story elements that you can go through, and maybe even a small quest that you could do on that floor. Finally, there is the boss rooms, which there is one on every floor, and they'll feature a boss that is significantly stronger than the other enemies that you've run into so far in that level. The goal in this game is just to see how far you get, with the idea that there is probably an end in sight at some point. But along your journeys, you're going to find that the enemies and your classes get more and more ridiculous as you proceed. This all begs the question, does this all boil into an entertaining stew? My overall take of Despot's Game is that it is entertaining and it's very fun. It's a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. There's a lot of nods to other intellectual properties. There's a lot of jokes in the game that I think do land very well. Some of those jokes are delivered with a little bit too much text and not enough showing of the joke, but I think that that's fine in this particular indie flavor of a game. All the different elements here all fit right in. I think the graphic style is fine. If you like pixel art games, this is a pretty good pixel art game. It's got very good animations. I think the music is very, very well done. But the one reservation that I did have in Despot's Game was the conflict that I find between the theme of disposability and the strategy elements of the game. You see, in Despot's Game, it's my belief that the player is the despot. You are made to be that way. The puny humans look extremely bland. In fact, they are the most bland thing in the entire game, devoid of any unique attributes. Outside a first name, they are nothing. But with your help, they are given an identity in the form of a class, and they are given power in the form of levels. They are only given that through your sheer will. And in some point in the game, it is likely that each character will outlive its usefulness or will be put into a position of vulnerability where their mere existence has become a liability for the team. At that point, their life becomes meaningless to you, and they simply become a replaceable character. Boiled down, this is just gamified utilitarianism. These themes of disposability then get mixed with a lot of randomness that you find in roguelikes. Together, this ends up being a recipe for not really knowing what your team is going to look like, and that stands in conflict with the strategic elements of this game. Because of this, there's going to be a lot of failures in this game that have nothing to do with the player's strategy overall. There's a lot of randomness that's just going to occur on the team and wipe you out, even if you are an excellent player. Now, that can be expected to some extent in a roguelike, but I think that in this game it happens a little bit extra simply because everything is meant to be so disposable. The remedy for this is actually buried within the design of the game itself, and that's for the player to not take the experience too seriously. I realize that's a tall order for a lot of players, myself included, who is very focused on winning games. If you're that type of player, understand that Despot's Game is going to punish you for no reason at times. But at the same time, you're going to have a lot of runs that are very enjoyable, very hilarious, and you're going to find all kinds of wacky things that will make an entertaining experience. All of that said, I think this one's definitely worth your time, at least to go check out the demo that's currently freely available to the public. Check the video description for a link and you can play it yourself. If you've liked this video, well then like this video. And if you'd like to find out about more great games that just haven't got enough attention, take a look at my channel where I specialize in finding great indie hidden gems. Thanks for hanging out with me, and until next time, this has been Pixel.